Oh, better.
Ding is way better.
Well, that's pretty significant. Black pawn is only 2 steps away now from becoming a new queen.
Gukesh now, he played this move very quickly.
There's no way for Gukesh to stop the pawn from becoming a new queen. I am shocked.
It's time to celebrate! Ding and Gukesh, they are tied after 5 games in the World Chess Championship match, and it has turned out to be a very close and exciting match. Welcome everyone to the Take post-game show with Levy Rosman and Magnus Carlsen. For the first time, we are live on Twitch. And I'm first going to bring in Levy Rosman, Gotham Chess. Thank you for taking my role yesterday, being the host. You're back to being an expert today, but you did an awesome job, Levy. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was not just for you, but for the folks in the studio. It was an honor, but I'm very happy to return to my role as expert for today.
Yeah. We like you in that role. And then the GOAT, the legend, 17 times world chess champion, co-founder of Take. Generally a good guy. Here is Magnus Carlsen, the birthday boy. Happy birthday, Magnus.
Thank you.
What has this day been like, turning 34 today?
It's been a bit weird. I was like in a little bit of physical pain yesterday.
Oh no.
And today it feels like it's just gotten worse. It's like a little bit here and there. And I don't know, I just feel so much older. Apart from that, everything is great.
Yeah, well, that's age. You don't look a day older, Magnus, I'll tell you that. And Levy, you promised me before the show that you would sing the happy birthday song, so go ahead.
Absolutely not. That did not happen. So this is why we're live to catch the experts off guard. No, I mean, I will say, listen, I'm 29 in 5 days.
Uh-huh.
I don't feel a day older than 50. So I've got my grandmother yesterday turned. I will say, like, I on the 29th of November, which was yesterday, my grandma turned 93, and I recently visited her.
Wow.
And she was like, I hope you and your wife live to 93. And I was like, Grandma, ain't no way. Like, you're from the tougher generation. Like, I'll be blessed to make it to 80. So that's what I'll say.
Incredible. Happy birthday to Levy's grandmother yesterday as well then. And Magnus, on a day like this, do you sort of reflect a little bit about everything you have achieved in 34 years?
No, I haven't really thought too much about that, but I've thought about games that I played in the World Championship on my birthday. So last time against Jan, it was actually game 5 as well, and it was a very theoretical Petrov that ended up in a draw. Maybe it wasn't game 5 actually. Maybe it was game 4. I think it was game 4. And yeah, there was of course as well the tiebreak against Karyakin in 2016 that I won. So overall, I would say I have good memories of playing on my birthday.
Yeah. And the question is, was it a good day following Game 5 in the World Chess Championship match, Magnus?
Yeah, it was an interesting game, but obviously I think for us as we're both pundits but also chess fans, it was a bit of a disappointing finish, even if it was not unexpected.
Yeah, and that's important to underline, you guys. These two are the pundits. They are the experts, and they need to speak their mind, the truth about what's been going on in Singapore today. So should we jump into Game 5, you guys? It was another French defense. Levy, you woke up, like 7 a.m., 6 a.m. today to jump into the game?
First, I don't know, something like 5:50.
Yeah, wow.
And it was the position where they had just traded the queens. I know the exchange French is very topical now. It's also not as boring as its reputation. Like it does have some interesting ideas. I actually kind of enjoyed playing it when I had black, and I had I was in my French era, like wearing a little beret and stuff. But I woke up when they traded the queens, And then the second time I was awake, Gukesh had just made this quote unquote blunder. I mean, whatever, inaccuracy where he took an e5 with the pawn. And I made an executive decision. I was like, okay, yeah, part of me thinks that Ding will just take the chance to sort of end the game here with the draw because he can. But there's no way. I mean, I'm looking at the position. He has all the activity he can dream of. His pawn is 2 squares away from promotion. Like, it will go for at least a couple more hours. Let me go to sleep. And then I woke up again and the game had ended in a draw like 40 minutes prior, almost 10, 15 minutes after I fell back asleep. So I'm very disappointed. I'm more disappointed today actually than any of the other draws because I don't know. Like, I'm looking at the position for black and it just looks pretty easy to play. But I guess this is just going to be how the match goes. And that's that. So
disappointed.
I gotta say, Levy, this was a rookie mistake. Like, you should have. This was purely wishful thinking on your part. You should have seen this coming.
Why is that,
You
Magnus?
expect better.
Why do you say that, Magnus? What should he have expected?
No, I'm just saying that this has been the standard now for Ding for a long time. That he plays well, he gets good positions, but he doesn't really at all. So it was, yeah, it's obviously disappointing, but it's not unexpected by any means.
Well, we had some action on the bar, at least today. It was definitely in favor for Ding at some point. Magnus, at what point in the game would you like to jump into here?
You know me, I like to start from the beginning. So I think I predicted yesterday that um, that we were going to see e4 from Gukesh and that we were probably going to see e5 from Ding, not the French again, and that Gukesh would try and do something sharp to get a serious advantage. So I think all of that was wrong. Ding did repeat the French defense, and then Gukesh went for sort of a more of a small ball approach rather than trying to hit big. But I did find the opening phase quite interesting as well. I gotta say, like, the first time I saw this line with bishop d3 and then queen e2 check, with bishop d6 is a normal move instead of c5. I think the first time I saw that was in 2016. One of my favorite theoreticians, GM Milkumian from Armenia, he played it in the Turkish league, and I was thinking like, wow, this looks so simple. Like you can get it both from the French defense and from the Petrov defense, and it just gives you a very pleasant, either like bishop pair kind of position where you're not like really better, but it seems that white has more positional potential, or you get a queenless middle game where white has a couple of extra tempi and generally a slight initiative that's kind of hard or surprisingly hard to extinguish. So I was thinking like, what more do I with my style want from the opening? So after that, like I was trying to get this. I was even playing e3 on move 1, hoping that my opponent would play e5 and then I could play d4 and transpose into the exchange range. But of course, since things have been analyzed and this move c5 has become typical as Ding played, but it didn't really change the nature of the position. So c3, which Gukesh played, is the critical, and now after the next series of moves, they reach the same kind of endgame as you would otherwise. And then the question is, does the black pawn being on c4 benefit black or white? And the answer is not simple because it does give black extra space, but it also makes the pawn on d5 a lot weaker. But I guess like you end up concluding that white is very slightly better in either case, but not significantly better. And it reminds me of these Slav kind of positions that you get where black breaks with e5 and then white has the extra space, but the somewhat weak d4 pawn, and you go from there. But well, this was my whole introduction to saying that even though it was not the most aggressive approach from Gukesh, I love this line, and I found it very interesting that they were discussing the French defense once again.
Any input on that, Levy? Or should we jump to, so I've in my notes written down move 23, where the bar reacted and saying it was a mistake by Gukesh. Would it make sense to jump to that now, or do you want to take some more time?
All I'll add is that if you go back to the symmetrical structure just on, let's say, move 6, when this queen e2 check idea sort of arises, I used to play the Queen's Gambit accepted a lot with black, and there is a line, except white has already played c4 and black has captured, where
you can get it via the French as well.
Yeah, exactly. And there's it's like French Queen's Gambit accepted. There's these like Queen e2 checks, which look relatively harmless because you trade the queen, but black is always one move behind consolidation. That like this Queen e2 check concept in these symmetrical pawn structures basically put away my desire to play certain lines of the Queen's Gambit accepted, and I sort of had to learn like this classical main line that everybody plays with knight f3 e3. This is more for like the deeper chess enthusiasts, but yeah, it's super annoying. And I was excited to see Ding's approach. So yeah, we can move to move 23 because I think they played relatively normally. Although maybe before that, like Gukesh's g4 move, like let's go forward. Yeah, this was getting a lot of praise from Judith Polgar, like this concept of g4, and it does feel like Magnus. This is is it again like Gukesh's style, concrete chess? This move.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Levy. That I mean, it's something I would consider as well. Seeing that you do force a little bit, you pin the knight, but I think normally as white, like you just want to transfer a knight to the e3 square as soon as possible, which eyes both f5 and also the pawn on d5, and you sort of accept that your bishop is going to get traded for the knight, but then black actually has to weaken his position with g5 to do it. So it seems like a fair trade-off. Like you put one knight in e3, then potentially another one in e5, and push f4, and claim that you have some kind of pressure this way. So that would have been the normal approach. Yeah, I mean g4 feels a little bit loose. I cannot say that I loved it, but I can see the idea, and it didn't by any means ruin his position. I think it was rather equal, and also after.
So yeah, Kaya, then move 23 is sort of the next big moment, and this is this one is quite.
Yeah, this is all very solid. Yeah, no, this is a big moment. D takes e5.
Yeah, D takes e5. So this is not. I mean, as white, the next move is knight d3, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So he likely just misevaluated, right? I imagine he thought he has time to play f3, b3, lock up the dark squares, and try to attack the pawn on d3. That's what I imagine. So what happened here? Like, what do you miss when you play d takes e5?
I think there are a couple of possible explanations. I think I would agree in a vacuum, you'd go rook takes e5 without thinking much, especially since it's pretty evident that white can never really be better here. So that you would want to play rook takes e5, sort of steer it towards the draw. But what I think Gukesh may have been worried about was after the rook trade, the black knight can give a check and then invade on the c1 square, and then you're essentially losing a pawn on the queen side. So you could go about this in one or two ways. You could sort of think that, well, rook e5 looks the most normal. D5, knight d3 looks a bit unpleasant, so I don't want to do that. Let me try and make rook e5 works, and if I cannot work, sorry, and if I cannot quite make it work, then, you know, maybe I'll play a position, a pawn down, but I have the bishop pair. If I play the dark square bishop, white should be fine. So, yeah, I guess Levy, that is, I think, the most likely explanation, that it was sort of a bit of an overambitious, not overambitious play, but just over a case of like overthinking that a little bit instead of just going for the more natural move and trying to make that work. The other possible explanation is, as you said, that it was just too much ambition. I think he may have intended to restrict the black knight after the moves knight d3, bishop takes d3, c takes d3, to restrict the knight with the move b3. For those who are a bit newer to chess, this is a move that grandmasters generally love to play. If the knight is on any of those squares, on b6, g6, g3, or b3, or like f6 or f3 for that matter, like moving the pawn like one square up takes away two squares from the knight. So you very often want to restrict the knight that way. I think this is another explanation. It doesn't work tactically because black can start attacking the pawn with rook c8. Then if white protects it with rook c1, you go d4. And basically, it's a long line, but basically black gets very, very active play, and you can see just in a couple of moves that the white position is just very unappetizing. So that means that we haven't quite solved the problem with this explanation, because going d takes e5, you'd have to look up b3 and rook c8, because those are the forcing moves, and there's no way he'd conclude that that was any good for white if he looks any further. So then I'm thinking the most likely explanation after this one I was talking about, where he was worried about having to sacrifice a knight after a pawn after the capture with the rook.
Okay. So another situation here then where Ding doesn't take advantage of a chance that is given to us. In the take app, when we come to move 28, it says controversial move by Gukesh when he moved his rook one square. Do you agree with the take app? Was that a controversial decision by Gukesh?
No, I think it was forced.
Huh.
So I think Gukesh's maneuver there, sacrificing a pawn, but activating his rook was quite prudent. So I like that a lot, and I don't think it was controversial. I would like to back up a couple of moves though.
Okay, let's do it.
When Ding played the move knight to c4, like it is extremely natural. You correct your pawn structure, you remove the blockader of your very advanced last pawn, but it also takes away sort of all the dynamism in the position. So I felt that move knight to a4 instead was a lot more interesting. I think that Gukesh can still sort of hold, but it becomes move by move thing. Where he has to really, really play well, and there's no risk involved for Ding at all. So yeah, this move knight c4 was already a little bit soft, and then I think afterwards he lost heart a bit. He was worried that his pieces were going to be uncoordinated, that he was going to be outplayed somehow, and he just reverted to the sort of standard draw good and forced it.
Yeah, I sort of said the same. Like, I don't understand really why you wouldn't just put the knight on a4. Yeah, we can back up before the move knight c4 is played. And I don't know if we have the capability to draw an arrow here, but if the black knight just sits on the a4 square, and if we don't, that's okay. Just imagine it floating to the left side of the board. It targets both pawns. And it's one of those cases, just like, it's the reverse of what Magnus said. Basically, if you don't make a pawn move restricting the knight loves to sit on a square. It attacks two pawns, and ideally one of them protects the other, because then neither of them can move. So white would have to defend very passively after knight a4. I don't know. I feel as though if you polled every top 10 player in the world in this position, they would say knight a4. We can even extend the list. I don't know. I don't want to say anything too controversial, and I guess it depends. Like, if knight c4 kill, like if you win the world championship match with a draw, or a draw wins you a first place in a tournament, you just play knight c4. You take zero risk. Totally understandable. But knight a4 is so natural. You risk nothing. White has to play rook b1, and then the game goes on. So yeah, like I think I said it yesterday too, Kaya, when it was just me and Magnus. Like, at some point, I basically asked Magnus, like, this strategy of keeping the match close and playing, in a way that you don't lose the game is fine, but the games run out at a certain point. So, do we just wait until game 13 and 14 and then somebody has to win? It used to be that the champion defends the title when the match is tied, but that's not the rule anymore. So yeah, I don't know. But I was very disappointed. And like Magnus said, it was a rookie mistake. I should have just stayed up. I should not have gone back to sleep.
Yeah, but I think there are a couple of points to what you're saying there, Levy. So first of all, we've had 3 games as where Ding has been black, and you got to say that it's been a massive success for him. He's 50% with black, and he has had better positions in every single game. That's a fact. In the 2 white games, he has never been close to being worse. He hasn't really been close to being anything more than slightly better either. But I think at the moment he just feels that the match is going well for him. He feels that his black openings are good, that Gukesh is struggling to... He's sort of digging deeper and deeper to find ideas, and if you cannot like kill him in the opening, then he like sort of justifiably believes that it's going to be hard for Gukesh to outplay him. But as you say, like, yeah, at some point you gotta start to actually try and win. But I don't know if he's waiting for it. It's like you talk about it in football sometimes, where you're waiting for that one opportunity to counterattack, and sometimes, like, if a team is not presented with a great opportunity, but with a decent opportunity, they will not take it. And it seems that at the moment, Ding will not really go for the attack unless it's really obvious. So, he's happy with the relatively high quality of play he's showing, but yeah, I agree that his mindset still seems to be a very, very defensive one.
Well, so Magnus, to follow up on sort of that metaphor with football there, did Ding miss an open goal today? Was it that big of a chance? Do you feel confident that you, at the point we were looking at in the game, that you would have won that game in Ding's position? I mean, how big of a chance was it for him today?
No, this was more like a promising counterattack that he could have gone for. So it was, let us get this straight. Like, as we talked about the other day, like, it's supposed to be hard to win world championship games, and that's why you have to, or it used to be the thought that you have to grab the chances that you can and try and be really, really precise when you have even a slight chance. So I think there is no doubt that Ding had pressure um, if he'd played the best way, but was it at that point likely that he would have won or in football metaphors scored if he'd kept pushing? No, he was probably not favored to do that ever. But yeah, as you said, Levy, not C4 instead of knight A4. I'm not shocked, but it is soft, really, really soft.
Levy, I know you have to leave it sometimes, so I'm gonna spit. Is there more to say about the game? Is there more you really want to address in this game, you guys?
Well,
And go ahead if it is.
We can go forward 2 moves, and former world champion contender against yours truly, or I guess yours truly, and I was supposed to kind of go like this. I was not playing in the world championship. Anyway, point of that very convoluted reference was Jan Nepomniachtchi tweeted, "Why would you be up a pawn when you can be down a pawn and build a fortress?" And that's referring to the fact that if we fast forward, Gukesh took the pawn on f3, and here he could have retreated his bishop to the h5 square, and white cannot capture the pawn on c4 because the pawn promotes. So basically, he's a pawn up. But like Magnus already alluded to, Gukesh sacrificed the pawn to activate his pieces, and in all likelihood would have figured this one out as well. But it is quite funny that the game goes from black is up a pawn to black is down a pawn, but is securing a draw. But yeah, other than that, there's not much more. I will just say there are up to 9 games left and potentially some tie breaks.
Yeah.
So at some point, someone's going to have to win the match.
Yeah. It's getting more and more likely that we will see 14 games and even maybe tie breaks where Ding, everyone's saying he would be a big favorite in the match. All right, you guys. In terms of who's the favorite now in the match, you're saying, Magnus, that you think Ding is actually quite happy with how it's going. But I have to say, like, watching press conferences, Gukesh also seems very calm, very focused, very happy with how it's going. Do you think that's the truth? Do you think Gukesh is happy about the situation?
No, I really don't think so. I think a game like today must frustrate him a little bit.
Really?
That he cannot really outplay Ding or get chances with the white pieces. So I think today's game, even though like we will and should criticize Ding for not going knight a4 and going knight c4 instead, it was a win for Ding. No doubt about it. Like it increased his chances of winning the match, and it probably increased his confidence in what he's doing as well. And I will stand by what I've said earlier that Gukesh he's generally not impressed me so far. Like Ding has probably done a little bit better than we thought, but like we probably didn't expect much. And then Gukesh has probably been a little bit worse.
Mm-hmm. So Levy, right now, who would you say is the favorite to be the world champion when this match is finished?
I know we've been placing this match bar every day. I still, maybe after today, it tilts back like 2 to 3% points back to Ding. I mean, I don't know. Like it simply because of the information that we have, which is that he played the French again and was completely okay. We've seen in World Championship matches before where the same exact opening against 1e4 is surveyed over and over and over. For example, when Magnus played Fabiano, they pushed, Sveshnikov and Rossolimo theory forward by probably 10 to 15 years for like the average person and even other grandmasters. I doubt we're going to get a match where Gukesh keeps playing e4, and if that keeps happening, that Ding keeps responding with the French. But I mean, there is something to be said for the fact that when you prepare for a world championship, I don't imagine you are spending a meaningful percentage of your time trying to refute the French defense. You're looking at the E4, E5s, the symmetrical games, the Italians, the Spanishes. And, the guy shows up and plays the French, which is one of these openings that if you're a chess purist, you just go, oh, well, Alpha Zero back in the day said the French is like bad for black, or the computer won't recommend it. But here you go. I mean, good luck. Good luck trying to refute it in a World Championship match. It must be frustrating. I'll be shocked if Gukesh goes back to E4 in the next white game, but who knows? Maybe this is the new strategy. So, I don't know what the odds are exactly, but I can imagine it's frustrating. Like, you play two Frenches and you don't get too much. In fact, you lose one of the games. So,
Okay.
So what I will say, Levy, is that even though Ding played the French in his first game, I think they were probably still thinking, oh, is this really his main repertoire? Am I really going to expect this again? And maybe Ding was speculating on that as well. Like they will certainly seriously consider the French, but they probably won't, spend all their time on it. So I think the facts are that we've got another game coming tomorrow, and then which is quite important, which means that Gukesh's team will have another day to prepare for the French. And it is quite possible that they had this as sort of a temporary solution. Let's try this for one game. It's quite, it's not the most dangerous, but there is some venom to it, and we could get a game here while we try and get some of the sharper stuff ready for our next game after the free day. So I think that could be part of it. At least that's the way that we were operating sometimes. If it's like, well, we don't feel like we're quite ready, let's try and do it after the next free day. So I think that is one possibility. And who knows, I think could still deviate. That would not shock me at all. But what I do know at this point is that I don't seem to be able to understand how they think completely. So that's also fun to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And okay, finally, I want to do a short little experiment. Magnus, let's envision this as a game of boxing, a battle of boxing. We have Gukesh in one corner, and we have Ding in the other corner. Magnus, you're in Ding's corner. You're his coach, and Levy, you are in Gukesh's corner. You're his coach. What do you tell them before game 6? Magnus, what do you tell Ding before game 6?
No, you basically tell them that you're a very good player, that you're playing well. It's just that, you've got to actually punch to win. So that it's not enough to take his punches. You've got to land a couple yourself. So that would be my speech there.
All right. And well, Levy, what do you tell Gukesh while you're massaging his back and getting him ready for game 6?
Well, I guess he's going to have the black pieces in the next game, so it's a little bit different, and also it's a bit more unpredictable. Like if you would ask me the next white game, my answer would be different, but I would say, you might get caught off guard. He might come with another opening surprise. Be solid. And don't try to pick a fight just because the other guy is not willing to, because that's how you lost the first game. It's a long match. You had your best chance with the white pieces, and we'll try to get him in the next round. It's a weird spot in the match. It's really a weird spot in the match. Like we keep waiting for a pivotal moment, and maybe tomorrow we will get it. Game 6 always delivers, as they say. It has delivered in previous years, yeah. So, I mean, I feel like in the spirit of this, Magnus once played like an 8-hour game on Game 6. I remember that was a day that I made many different plans, like to go and have a tennis lesson, and I had to sort of slowly cancel all those plans because I had to stay and watch the game. But I feel like this match almost has the storyline like tomorrow will be the shortest game in the history of the World Championship. It's just that that's where we're headed. But who knows? Maybe we'll get a 7-hour battle.
Yeah. What do you think, Magnus? Yeah, game 6. I mean, you've been through this 5 times. It's something special with that game 6.
Yeah, but as Levy said, it's probably more likely that they'll sort of break negative records than positive records in that sense. Because, I don't think Ding will take a lot of chances. Like he will have some kind of mini try, I think, like he did in the last game, and then um, yeah, the way the match is going, I don't see him rocking the boat with the white pieces now. So my prediction would be that it's a very quiet drive if Gukesh can navigate whatever idea he has.
Well, they got to step up is the message from our 2 pundits. Can we finally just today name today's MVP, most valuable piece, and the piece of beep, you guys? Which pieces will you nominate for this today?
Black's light squared bishop is the MVP, I suppose. I mean, maybe Black's c-pawn, which ended the game on d3. That's my answer.
For MVP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really really hard to say. I have sort of the same idea as Black c1, or maybe I'd go for the light squared bishop, but I don't feel fantastic about any of them. I'd go with the c pawn.
And how about piece of beep? And I have to, since we're live on Twitch now, I have to actually say beep. Magnus, what is the piece of
Probably
beep?
Black's knight.
Okay.
Black's knight on b6, that made a really soft jump to c4 when it really really wanted to. If you'd asked the knight, it didn't want to be changed. It wanted to attack some pawns instead. So I think it was not the knight's fault. Obviously it was Ding's fault, but I think it is quite disappointed. And doesn't deserve any accolades.
Yeah, I agree. I've also heard this concept that you should ask your pieces what they want, and that is a great way to really put like the final touch on this thought about this move. I don't think the knight wanted to be traded, and its feelings were not accounted for. So yeah, unfortunately, it's the piece of beep.
It's like what happens in American professional leagues, that you have so much potential for a great career, and then you just wake up the next day and you find out that you're traded to Cleveland or something. So that's how I think the knight felt.
Well, I actually love going into the Take app and sort of follow the journey for the pieces that you guys choose as the MVP and the piece of beep. And I think sort of the conclusion today is that Gukesh and Ding, they have to step up to get the 2 of you more excited about this match. Am I correct?
No, you're not correct. I'm really excited about the match. I think it's interesting. Like every game is interesting, and you could look at it as a football match as well. As long as it's 0-0 or 1-1 in this case, like if it's like a really important game, that's still great. As long as there's real sporting intrigue, I think it's great to follow, and it's fun to talk about as well. So obviously we'd like more interesting games, or exciting games, but I think what's going on, there are always like little interesting points in what's going on with the openings, little positional decisions, and you learn more and more about the way the players think in the course of the match. So yeah, of course we'd like them to do even more, but I think it's for our job to sort of talk about what's going on. As long as the match is super even, then all is good.
I love that. Exciting. What are you going to do for the rest of your birthday, Magnus? Do you have any big plans to celebrate?
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually taking. No, I'll keep it private, but I have some nice plans.
Okay, well, we really hope you enjoy the rest of your birthday. Levy and Magnus, thank you so much for joining recap of Game 5. And we're super excited to do it again tomorrow for Game 6. Historically, Game 6 has been really fun. So thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.